welcome. And as I welcome you, I'd like to share with everyone in terms of who is Greg Maritz, so they have a background of who I'm having a chat with today. All right, so Greg joined MTN Group in September 2016, and he is there as an executive business assistant to the MTN Group Vice President of the Southern and Eastern African region. Prior to his role, Greg was the executive assistant to the MTN Group Chief Technology and Information Officer. He has over 21 years experience as an executive assistant, basically supporting C-suite executives. And he has been doing this in different industries, in scientific research, in executive placement, advertising, and telecoms. So during his career, Greg has received numerous awards in his field, and he holds a professional membership, of course, to the OPSA Professionals of South Africa, South Africa's leading administrative professional body. So Greg qualified as a certified managerial office professional, which we usually call it CMOP, in 2019. He is a committed and determined individual who is passionate about maintaining the high level of service to the executive support, and he is passionate about the upliftment of administrative profession in South Africa, and has been invited to speak at various office professional conferences and seminars. And I think with all of this being said, you understand why we needed to have a chat with him. Greg, how has life been since COVID started? I think let's start there, because we have been struggling with a lot.
Look, I think life is not as we knew it. Everything has changed. Work dynamic has changed. Family dynamics have changed. Relationship dynamics have changed. But where I am encouraged with the human spirit is how, against all odds, how we've come together as, I know it may sound cliched, but as humanity. And how we are in our day-to-day, the way that we are working from home, the way that we are redefining how we build relationships and how we maintain relationships. That's inspiring to me. And so it's interesting times we live in.
Amazing. You know, when you talk about relationships, then I am triggered and tempted to ask you then, you know, to tell us a little bit more about yourself, and not about work, you know, just who Greg is, and so we have, you know, a little bit of understanding of your background.
So I would say that first and foremost, God first in my life, and that can be universe, power, essence, energy. So God before all else, and then family. I'm essentially a family man. I've been with my partner for 20 years. We have a 3-year-old daughter that is keeping me very, very young. But I'm a family man. I hold relationships very dear to my heart. Relationships, I think what COVID has proven to us is relationships is everything. So we are almost defined by the relationships that we have. And I'm very close with my family. We're a very close unit. So that's me in a nutshell when it comes to my private life.
Wow, that is amazing, because really family is the backbone in our support structure in many ways, you know. So let's get to it. Please share with us your career journey. Where did it start? How did you get to be where you are now?
Right, I think I'm glad we have time. I think when I left school, my career choice was something that I couldn't afford at the time. I needed to go to varsity for that. So I sat down with my parents, and my dad said to me, where do you want to go? What do you want to do if your first option is not available? And I said, I'd like to get into business. And he was the one that suggested to me, maybe try and become a PA, well, back then it was secretary.
Yeah.
Become a secretary, and then that'll give you the scope of the entire organization, and then you can decide where you want to branch off into. That was over 21 years ago. The rest is history. So what I did was, I remember, you know, those days, I don't know how many, and I'm really giving away my age here, get the star classifieds. And
It's okay, you look 21 anyway, so it's okay. That's what the looks are, the ones that matter the most.
Exactly. And we used to get the star classifieds, the printed one. There was nothing online.
Yeah.
And there was this position advertised for a sales secretary at a company in Kempton Park, which was right around the corner from me. And I thought, this is the opportunity. And I applied for the position and I got the job. I think in life, my success I attribute to the people that have been part of my journey. And very early in my career, this was the company Lico Africa. I came into contact with a gentleman, his name is Philip Langenhoven, and a lady by the name of Evelyn Grobler. Okay. And they gave me this chance at Lico. I had zero experience. It must have just been my bubbly personality. What can I say? So I joined Lico Africa. It set such a phenomenal foundation for me because Evelyn was the detail-orientated accountant. Everything had to be lined up, all spreadsheets, and, you know, hand it to the secretary will punch it out. And so she gave me that foundation of being detail-orientated, whereas Philip gave me the guidance and the mentorship. And I hadn't had a business mentor, and I really regard him as my first business mentor. And he really gave me the opportunity. And in a business environment, I would say Philip was the one that had belief in me. And I've never had that in a work environment. And so that was Lico. That took me right up. I started off as the sales secretary. Then I became admin secretary, which was the assistant to the managing and financial directors. And that I was with them for about 8 years. Then I was very happy at Lico Africa.
I can imagine.
But before I go on, Philip Langenhoven, I've heard, is retiring at the end of the month after an illustrious career. So I just want to wish him well in his retirement and many.
He left a legacy.
And then I was at Lico, I was very happy, and then I got this call from Mark at MTN. And he wanted me to come for a job interview, and I thought it was a scam, like, who knew what we need. It took me 3 months to agree to the interview, various communication phone calls, and I got the job at MTN in 2009. And I was the assistant to the general manager of business finance and assurance. She left after 3 months, and immediately I was approached by the new chief marketing officer, Serami Taukubong, who's the new CEO of Telkom. And I joined him, and that took me right up until 2013. Then from 2014 to 2016, I was on a medical sabbatical. We'll get into that later. And then joined MTN again in 2016. So I was very happy to come back to MTN. I joined as assistant to the group CTIO, and then he moved to group. Then I joined him. He asked me to join him at group. And then in 2019, I heard this little buzz that a certain Yolanda Kuba was going to join MTN Group. And I had followed her for quite a few years, younger CEO of a JSE listed company. She was higher up in Vodacom. She was CEO of Vodacom Ghana. And I was just determined that I needed to work for her. And when she joined MTN in early 2020, I immediately applied for the position, and luckily I got it. And that's where I am today.
Wow.
And she moved from digital and fintech space, and then she was promoted to vice president of the CR region, and luckily she took me with her.
Yeah. Wow, quite an amazing journey that you've had. Have you ever at any point thought of leaving the profession? And if it is so, what could have been the reason for that?
Look, I have considered it in the past, and there have been opportunities, but being I call it an OPRO. There's so many titles, so I call it an OPRO. being an OPRO is a close friend of mine in my virtual reality. So I call it being an OPRO, you are exposed to many parts of the business, and there has been opportunities. But the diversity that our roles offer us cannot be matched. And I decided very early, and it was still in the LECO days, that I would like to be a career PA. And that's why I stuck to it. I know that many people, as I did, became a PA secretary. We'll get into the titles later, as a stepping stone profession. But there is so much to be gained from the actual profession, and it affords me the diversity, the exposure, that I don't think any other profession would. So for the foreseeable future, I'm here to stay.
Okay. Let me then take you a little back to your first days when you started to work at Little. How was it? I mean, you're fresh in the environment, and as a secretary or PA, you're expected to be the go-to person, right? So now you're new, and you have a boss who is that particular in terms of how things needs to be done. What would you say was your survival mechanism when you got in? What kind of approach helped you to be able to find your feet, to be able to understand what is required of you, and be able to function? Because obviously you were expected to hit the ground running.
I think determination is a big thing. I came in with zero experience, but I was so determined to succeed in everything that I do. My grandfather, my late grandfather, once said to me, whatever you decide to do, just be exceptional at it.
Wow.
Now, those are big shoes, and it's a big vision to fill. But I believe that my life is in pursuit of excellence. I don't think I will ever achieve it, and I actually hope I don't. But I think when you strive for excellence, that's when the magic happens. Where you can open yourself up. So I think it's that vision and that strive towards excellence. And it was at LECO, because dear old Evelyn Grobler, and she retired many, many years ago, but she was a feisty old one. And she was so pedantic, and she was also, it's excellence or nothing. So that was the foundation of my entire career.
Great stuff, great stuff. I am in conversation with Greg Maritz. So if you have comments or you have questions, please do post. We will attend to them as we go through the discussions, because I would also like to hear from you if you can relate, or perhaps you're new in the profession and you'd like to ask a pointer from him. Please do post it. We will get to it at some point. So Greg, you have extensive experience, and in your opinion, what are the most critical skills that you say would assist one to be able to be an exceptional PA or an executive assistant, or even an administrative assistant?
Okay, I think that's a very broad question, because there's so much that is required, and I don't want to intimidate someone who's thinking of joining the profession, right off the bat. After this, I'd rather go and study medicine. But I think your computer knowledge, I think that goes without saying, but I think that is just part of being in the 21st century. And then I think command of the language that your business is in. But then there's also the soft side of it, which is the attributes that are required. So I've spoken about determination before. I've spoken, there's perseverance, there's persistence. So I think the skill set is also changing as the OPRO is changing, and the perception of the OPRO is changing in the country. So look, for me, it is my greatest regret is a formal study, which I'm happy to say that I'm now pursuing, but get that degree. You've got to get it. We are still in the day and the age that formal qualifications are super beneficial in any job that you have. So just get that qualification. There's phenomenal certificates, diplomas, and degrees that is so well aligned to our profession. Because the role of the OPRO is changing, more and more is going to be required. So from that purely ticking the boxes checklist kind of profession, it is moving into a strategic appointment. So because you're the representative of the office that you serve. So I just say, get that degree. Whatever you do, do it through UNISA. Exhaust your options, but be determined for study.
So this could be part of the reasons that you were able to go through the CMOB program with OPSA.
Look, I think learning is just fundamental. Our HR manager drew a report for Yolanda the other day, and I was looking at all the trainings that I'd done over the past 5 years, and how many I was registered for. You know, they track that kind of thing. And you've got to continue. You've got to, continuous learning is everything. You know, down from the policies and procedures and the boring compulsory stuff that we need to know about. But there are so many online platforms that offer free courses, free education mapping. Just do it. There's absolutely no excuse. And in our profession, it's critical. You've got to be abreast of what is happening, the technology advancements, how people are doing things differently, and that you get from continuous learning.
Amazing.
And you know, OPSA provides so much on their website. Most of us online today are OPSA members, so it's a resource that's available to you. So just do it.
Great stuff, great stuff. And also, I love the fact that you also touched on soft skills, right? Because we always think that we should have technical skills for us to be able to work, and then we end up neglecting the soft skills. But now you touched on them, and that is, it's highlighted as another important skill to have. Can you expand just a little bit in terms of the kind perhaps that you feel are necessary, or how important it is for one to have soft skills?
Look, there's a myriad of soft skill courses, from communication skills to negotiation skills to ethical courses, even drilling down to like a topic of honesty in the business place. These are the ones that can define a foundation. You know, in life we have these difficult decisions to make as a PA. And the soft skills is what is going to drive you to your decision and to make it in an informed way. And as businesses are more and more global, just because of the virtual way in which we do everything, you need to increase, or let's say, work on your EQ. And the soft skill courses is definitely a good way of doing it. Apart from experience and age, I think, that you can learn about it and work on it. You know, if you're not growing, you're dying.
Yeah,
it's as simple as that.
certainly.
So don't be scared to just go and work on those areas. Do your self-analysis, or if I'd like to talk about mentorship later, but if you've got a mentor, ask the hard questions. What do you think I can do to improve myself? Be that mirror and find someone you trust and someone that you work well with who can be that mirror for you.
Great stuff. And I was actually to ask you about the importance of having a mentor a bit later, but now that you've touched on it, can you just highlight the importance of one having a mentor, and besides the importance, how then does one get a mentor that will add value in their journey?
Okay, so I think the simplest way is in the environment that you work in, look out for that person that you admire. And I'm sure on social media, approach that person. The worst thing that can happen is they can say, sorry, I don't have time. But I can almost guarantee you that no one will say it like that, or they will refer you to someone who can mentor you. My boss, Yolanda, says that mentorship leaves the door ajar so that others can follow.
Wow.
And I think I'm a mentor to a few OPROs, and leave that door ajar. You've got the experience, you've got the achievements in your career. What can I do to give back? And that is so important. I remember starting at MTN in 2009, and on day 3, I was like, holy jamoli, what have I done to myself? Because no one came to me and said to me, hi, welcome, can we help you with this? I had to figure it out by myself. Policies, procedures, things like raising a PO, for goodness sakes, was one of the biggest stresses in my life. And what I learned from that, and I vowed that whenever a new PA came into MTN South Africa at that stage, that I would approach them. How can I help you? Do you need help? This is what you need to do. And it actually reached a level in which I formulated a training plan, almost an onboarding for PAs at MTN South Africa. Just to give the person a fighting chance from the start. So in my mind, that's what mentorship is. It's holding out your hand for someone just to give that little extra push. Then where do you get mentored? I've already spoken in your organization. Look at someone that you admire. And also, it doesn't have to be another PA. Look at someone whose work ethic you really align with. Approach them. The worst they can say is no. And then another thing which I'm so excited about is in August, my boss Yolanda launched the Mentorship Boardroom. And it is absolutely free platform, free to register. All the mentorship sessions are done online through the platform. So please, there's no excuse. www.thementorshipboardroom.com. And just do it. There are industry captains, there are OPROs on there that I've seen, there are scientists and doctors. Just go and explore that avenue. You really won't be sorry. Make sure that your CV is aligned to the field that you're going into, and then approach. Go onto LinkedIn, follow partners of law firms, write to them, persistence, determination.
And also, when you look for opportunities, be willing to start at the bottom to go up, be willing to learn, look for such opportunities. But also, Greg, shared something very, you were actually, following your current boss's journey, and that you wanted to work with her. So those are the things also that you can, start doing to check which organization do you want to work with, and why. Because it also has to do with your values, also has to do with your aspirations. So you can, be out there and be able to check. So we've got a comment from Lane Marja Craig is saying, Greg is an excellent colleague, knowledgeable, and an exceptional individual who is always willing to assist those around him. And Jay Siboniso says, continuous learning is everything. And Kumo Maponya says, I joined the call to support Greg, and I knew I will be empowered just by listening to him. So I'm so grateful to be privileged to work with him. You are awesome friend with that big, lovely hearts there. And Rechlola, if I'm reading it correctly, absolutely leaves the door open, just sends the lift down for others. So I think she's referring to the mentorship we spoke about. And Warrior Princess says, leave the door ajar so that others can follow. And yes, those are the comments that we have. Greg, can you share with us maybe one moment that stands out where you found yourself really challenged in your career history? And how did you deal with that? Because, we deal with challenges every day. So anything that comes to mind?
Look, I think, and I'm going to go heavier. In 2010, on the 21st of June 2010, I had my first seizure at the office, and I was diagnosed as epileptic. It changed everything. I was with Sarami Takubong. He was the CMO at that point. I had to redefine everything. It encompassed my entire life. It was all I could think of, ultimately leading to my medical sabbatical in 2014. But I think I had to come back to self. I had to come back to remembering what I'm capable of. I had this little challenge that was over here and going to be part of my life for the rest of my life. But how do I still remain a productive member of society that can make a change in the world that I'm living in? So it took a lot of self-belief and a phenomenal network that really pulled me through that. So I think that was, I look back at that and you always analyze about how you could have done things differently, how you could have, would have, should have. But that doesn't matter because it's who I am. It has molded me to where I am today. So any challenge in the past, regardless of how bad it is, or if it's a relationship that has broken down, if it's an illness, if it's a condition, if it's a death, you learn to live with it and move on. Just keep looking to the light. Right at the start, I said I'm a man of God, and I say that without any hesitation. Look up.
Wow, that's a powerful one. That's a powerful one. On a lighter note, any embarrassing moments that you had to deal with?
There's one. I've got to try and verbalize it. In the early 2000s, when I was still at LICO, I had a side hustle, and I don't know, I can't remember how it happened, but I started working with various ambassadors in Pretoria. And I would do events for them. And one of the ambassadors asked me he was expecting a very high level guest. Now ambassadors are normally used to dealing with presidents, but this was Kofi Annan, who's the late Kofi Annan, but the Director General of the United Nations. And he said to me, please, can you just help with protocol to do the introductions when he arrives? And Mr. Nunn arrived at the ambassador's house, and instead of saying, this is His Excellency, I said, this is, this is His Majesty. And at that point, Mr. Anand looked at me and said, well, in that case, and he bowed. And it was such a lovely, you know, Mr. Anand, certain people enter this world and leave a touch of grace, and that was him in every interaction. And 2 days after that, I was at a dinner table with him as his guest. So it ended up well.
Amazing. Amazing. At least it worked out. Oh my. So also, what are the proud moments that stands out as highlights in your career?
I think I've had a 20 plus year career, and I've just had so many high moments during that, and to try and pick out a single one is just not going to work. I just think of my time with Lico Africa with such a warm heart, and I'm glad Priscilla and Monique from Lico have joined as well. It was my foundation, and I could not have hoped for a better foundation. Then I was also I was working for the CMO of MTN South Africa during the FIFA World Cup as the title sponsor. So the exposure that gave to me was just phenomenal. And I can honestly say that right here today is a massive high point for me. If I look at who I'm working with, a person that I not only respect, but I actually like her. That's where the magic happens. That's where, so I can honestly say, this tenure, my current tenure, is one of my proudest in my career.
Lovely. That's amazing. That's amazing. And because you've gone through the ranks, basically, you know, and I love that you always talk about what's the name that you have given the profession?
OPROs.
OPROs. And I'd like you to first explain it so that our colleagues understand that are joining us where you're coming from with that name and also what it means, right? And then after that, I'd like you to talk to the fact that we've got so many titles, right, in the professions, and others are not so relevant to the roles that people are, you know, are actually are doing. The work that they're doing are not really related to the title. And which titles do you believe we should actually use? Maybe 2 or 3 that could actually encompass the kind of work that is being done by office professionals. And I know it's quite a challenging question, but just from your point of view as the person who has been in this career for a while.
Look, it is a loaded question, and I'm going to try, but I'm also afraid that my answer isn't going to almost clarify it. I hope I don't complicate it even more. I think MTN Group, as a holding firm, has done leaps and bounds for the profession. And 2 or 3 years ago, we did this, what we call the Amplified program, which was developing executive assistants or personal assistants at that stage into various categories. So it would be administrator, personal assistant, then I think it's executive assistant. Lynn, you may be able to help me out, and then executive executive business assistant.
Okay.
I hate secretary. Maybe it's because I was a secretary. It just conjures up so much old connotations to the profession. Yes, I would say in a nutshell, there's the private aspect. So you have your private assistants, which deals with one executive in there, or right from the start, decide for yourself, is this stepping stone or is this going to be my fix? Do I see myself? So that you can then develop yourself with purpose right from the start. So that would be my advice. Then when it comes to social media, Tolo, I'm not massive. I've got my profiles and I like to watch and read, but I'm not really active, which I know is something I've got to change. Hashtag, is that how the kids do it? Hashtag digital life.
Yeah.
But I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Twitter, and then of course you can find me on the Mentorship boardroom.
Yeah. Okay. And you said what is, so let me take this moment to thank you very much, Greg, for making time to have these discussions with us. It was enlightening, it was really empowering, and we appreciate the time that you took to be with us and share your experience and your journey in the career. And I am certain that there is someone who has been inspired by our conversation and they've also learned a few things.
Thank you to you, Tolo. Thank you for having me, and to OPSA. Continue doing the phenomenal work that you guys are doing. Thank you for having me.
Thanks. Have an amazing afternoon. And to all the colleagues that made time to join us, we will be next week again on Tuesday. We will share more information on social media platforms. Of course, Greg had to be the one that opens the way for everybody else to follow. And that's why we appreciate the time he made today and all the colleagues, because it really is inspiring to see that everything that is shared, you also are saying it is true and you have experienced in this wonderful way. Thank you. Everybody have an amazing afternoon and a productive week. From OPSA, we love you.